Well, hello humans! I'm gonna be real honest with you. I actually tried to film this video previously, but crazy things happened in the midst of me making this cosplay, and I just have to share this story time. I really do. I am gonna be including some clips of Gale talk a little bit about how I made him, but ultimately this video is going to be me talking about probably some of the craziest things that have happened to me, and I'm just so grateful for them. So let's just start at the beginning here. We're gonna go chronologically. I attend a lot of conventions, and FanExpo is one that I go to pretty regularly. I always go to FanExpo Dallas and MegaCon Orlando, which is basically FanExpo Orlando, it just has a different name. And usually sometimes I'll go to Boston, but FanExpo Chicago was put on my radar this year. They announced that Samantha Bayard and Amelia Tyler were going to also be guests at FanExpo Chicago. And Baldur's Gate 3 has just been in my top fandoms of this year. I've been completely obsessed with the game. I've gone to a lot of events related to it, and I have met a lot of and will continue to meet more of the Baldur's Gate 3 cast. So if I'm being honest, it was very difficult for me to take off time. The only weekend day I have off is Sunday. Also, just financially, I really didn't want to pay for extra expenses like a hotel or staying someplace multiple days, so I had to get real creative. I thought back and remembered too a time a couple years ago. One of my favorite Broadway stars, Erin Tveit, was returning to Moulin Rouge. And for those of you that don't speak Broadway, let me just kind of translate that for you. So a member of the original cast who had since left the production was returning for a limited run to his role that he originated. I was like, all right, what if I do something crazy? And I fly in that morning, and I see the show in the afternoon, and then I fly back that night. And then I don't have to pay for a hotel. I'm just there for a few hours. I don't have to pay for any bags. At the time, I admitted I thought it was crazy and I didn't end up doing it. But that idea, that concept has always been in the back of my mind ever since. And so when thinking about FanExpo Chicago and what I was gonna do to make this trip happen, I had the same idea. So I knew for this particular convention, I was not gonna be doing any pictures. I'd already gotten a photo op with Neil Newbon. For sake of time, money, I'm just gonna do autographs from everyone that was there. I don't feel the need to cosplay. I know I'm not gonna have enough time to walk around Artist Alley. I'm just gonna be there for the con on Sunday, and I need to get 3 people's autographs. And Neil's line is historically long, okay? And I'm not complaining. Partially it's because he does take his time with people. But that being said, I knew I would be in his line all day. Just be a body on a plane and just take a tote bag with my BG3 vinyl in it. Ooh, let's talk about that too. Let me preface this by saying, I do not own a vinyl player, okay? I don't collect vinyls. I don't own any, but I knew that I was gonna possibly be having the opportunity to meet some Baldur's Gate cast members. I wanted some kind of poster or something that the entire cast could sign, and I scoured the internet and didn't find anything that I liked or anything that had all the characters on it. I saw the official Baldur's Gate 3 vinyl, and I fell in love with the gatefold. It was one of the most beautiful artworks I'd seen. I tried to see if maybe I could just purchase the artwork somewhere, and it was not possible. So I went ahead and just bought the whole vinyl. Let me grab her. You're probably not gonna be able to see it too well with the glare, but I have the gatefold framed. So I've been taking that to conventions to get the cast to sign. All that to say, it was just me in a cute outfit with my little tote bag that had the vinyl sleeve in it, just a sleeve. I'm just gonna commit to standing in lines all day and be okay with that. Because it is currently like 5:20 a.m. in the morning. I've got my cute little con outfit and my tote bag, which is just me and my tote bag against the world today, because I'm just literally going there and back. So I figured I could book the cheapest Spirit flight, and I'm actually flying American Airlines, but you know what I mean, same thing. Booked like the cheap flight, no bags, just a personal item, and yeah, I'm gonna go to Chicago for a day. So I got on a plane at 6 a.m. to land in Chicago at 9:30 for the convention to start at 10, okay? To then end at 5 and me get on a plane at 6 and be home at 11 p.m. that night. That is exactly what I did. That's how I booked it, and that's what happened. It's exhausting, it's panic inducing, you know, it's time constraining, and would I recommend it? No. Would I do it again? I already did. So we'll get to that part of the story later. But yeah, first thing I immediately did when I got there was get in Sam's line. I was in the line for probably about an hour. And, you know, I'm a very social person. So as I'm standing in line, I'm talking to the people around me, right? At like events like concerts or conventions, things like that, I don't have a problem talking to strangers because I know that they're there because they love the same things that I do, all right? They're just as big of nerds as me. Also, it helps kill time, which is probably the main reason why I'm pretty consistent about doing that in long lines. But I get up there eventually to my turn to getting an autograph with Sam. And what was really cool about their booth, Sam had a list of quotes, but they also had a little dice tray with a D20 in it. So if you wanted, you could roll it random and see what you get. And I got really excited because I rolled an 11, which is my lucky number. That was just a little boost of serotonin from that interaction. But my favorite part about it though was I had kind of pre-thought about where I was gonna have everybody sign just so I could fit all the signatures because the companions are kind of all smushed together. So I was telling Sam where I was requesting for them to sign and they were like, oh, you sure you don't want me to sign like on Astarion? Like I'll just sign across his face. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't be mad if you drawed a little mustache on him. This is my autograph, right? I would never in a million years ever sell it. So I love little personalization things that are just specific to my interaction with the person. So I was telling them like, yeah, just draw a little mustache on Astarion. I think that'd be hilarious. And then Sam goes, no, if I was gonna draw a mustache on anybody, it would be Gortash. And I was like, do it. Then Sam said, no, because if you ever meet Jason Isaacs, he might be really confused because he doesn't know who I am. In what world? You think that I would just meet Jason Isaacs? Thank you for the confidence. I do want to put that out in the universe. Please, Jason, come to conventions in my area. But anyway, so Sam didn't draw a mustache on anyone. I wish they had. That was like my favorite part of the interaction other than talking about their shoes, which is just kind of off topic. But anyway, I would have loved to immediately have gone to Amelia's line after because I knew hers was going to be shorter. And I kind of wanted to save Neil for last anyway because in my forethought of everything, I'm going to so many conventions that Neil will be at. So even if I don't get it then, I know I'm going to get his autograph eventually. So it's like Amelia's a bit more of a priority. However, I knew that Amelia was about to go to her panel and then I believe she had a photo op after that. So she would have been gone for a long time. So it almost would have been wasted time waiting. So I was like, okay, let's just chance it and go ahead and get Neil's because Amelia won't even be able to keep her line moving for the next 2 hours. Smart decision I made there because I get over there and who am I standing next to in line? 2 of the girls that I was talking to in Sam's line. So, hey, nice to see you again. Let's keep continuing our conversation from last line. So we're talking and chatting. I find out that their names are Sam and Ash. Let's keep that in mind now that we've shifted the story, but I'm talking about Sam. I'm talking about Sam and Ash. So we were chatting, talking about more stuff about the game and just how we played it and stuff. And it always ends up happening. People ask you like, who's your favorite companion? Who did you end up romancing? And for me, it's always been and kind of probably always will be a tie between Astarion and Gale. But Sam was also a big Gale fan. So she kind of freaked out and was like, oh my God, I love Gale. Are you gonna go to the convention to meet Tim next weekend? And I went, what now? She's like, yeah, we're going to Minneapolis next week and Tim's gonna be there at a con. And I was like, he's what? So I immediately go on and I'm like, oh my God, okay, a convention next weekend. I could do the same thing that I did today, right? I could go on the Sunday and I could fly in and I could make that work. And I'm looking and stuff and I'm like, okay, the tickets are really cheap, right? Let me get on here and look at flights. Oh, they're $1,000 because it's next weekend. And I was just like, okay, no, I don't think I can do it. And they were like, oh yeah, totally understandable. If you do end up finding a way to get there or whatever, you're welcome to share a hotel room with us. So we're continuing to stand in Neil's line because, spoiler alert, I did wait in his line for 5 hours. That is not an exaggeration. I timed it. I waited in his line for 5 hours. It was really funny though, because anytime he did go somewhere, the entire line would just sit on the floor. Just in unison, it'd be like, oh, Neil's gone, sit. So time's passing and I'm just sitting there and making more casual conversation. In the back of my mind, I'm just like, God, you know, I really want to meet Tim. I've never seen him go to a convention in the US. Definitely one of the harder ones to meet in general because he's like so busy with other stuff that he does. And I'm like, oh God, like, if there was anybody, like, if I can only ever meet 2 cast members, obviously it would be Neil and Tim. And I'm like, I've already met Neil. I'm in his autograph line. I want to meet Tim so bad. So I get back on my phone and I'm searching and I'm searching and I'm searching. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to check Expedia. Okay, I'm going to check Priceline. And I like keep looking at all these different places to try to get cheap flights. And I want to know what the heck people around me thought was happening, because they had zero context for me being like, like just in the middle of the line, because I booked that thing so fast. I think the only time I've ever clicked the purchase button faster was Eras Tour tickets, okay? Because that was a bloodbath. But I'm sitting here and like clicking, and I'm like, buy these flights right now, buy these flights right now. What's happening is like, I found flights, I'm booking them right now before they go away. And they were like, really? You're gonna go? You're like, you know, because I admit it's kind of crazy to think that I'm just like in line booking something a week from now, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it because like life is short and I want to have fun. It's now or never. I have a savings account for a reason. I can't be reckless like that too many times or I won't have a savings account. But like that's for me, that's part of what that's for, right? It's for these moments. And you know, buying like tickets to the Sabrina Carpenter tour, it's fine. Like, yeah, I just like booked it in line and then bought the tickets to the con, and then I sat there and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go meet Tim next week. And they were like, yay, we're gonna hang out, it's gonna be so much fun. I was like, yeah, it'll be super chill. I'm not too worried about like for Chicago, I was a little bit more worried about the turnaround because I was trying to meet 3 people and make flights and stuff. But I was like, I looked at the guest list. There's nobody else at that con that I would want to meet besides Tim anyway. I had like already had money set aside in case I did have enough time to go to Artist Alley. And what I had set aside was enough to get a photo and an autograph with Tim. And so I was like, okay, I know for a fact now I'm not going to Artist Alley. That's just out of the question. Even if I did have time, I'm not even going to look at it because I am prioritizing meeting Tim. And if I take this money and just move it over, then I don't have to worry about autographs. So that was like a very surreal moment, and still can't believe that I did that. Not because it's not something I would do, but just more so because I'm truly surprised that I found reasonably priced flights a week before I was supposed to leave. But yeah, I did it. So continued in my line with Neil. At this point, Amelia has come back to her booth, but I have made friends, right? I made friends so much so that they invited me to stay in their hotel room with them. Strangers. I'm next to Sam and Ash, and I'm like, do you mind if I just step out of line for a little bit to go get Amelia? Her line seems to be like moving pretty steadily. I don't think that I should be gone for too long. And Neil's not even at his booth at this point. Everybody's like sitting down on the floor. The line's not even gonna move. And so they were like, yeah, go for it. So that at that point is when I get over to Amelia's line. I was so excited to meet Amelia, and honestly, I would meet any of them again. Really, truly. After my interaction with Amelia, I kind of just, I have like a little bit more of this desire to meet her again because she's just so fun and energetic and such a delight to just be around. I was already kind of excited to meet her, and I try to think of like talking points before I go up and meet someone, that way that I'm hopefully not stumbling through the interaction. Doesn't always work out that way, but I try to have talking points. I love Amelia's BG3 playthrough that she streams. She does it with her partner Jay. And they have these, so they're co-oping it, right? And they have these 2 characters that they've created, and these characters existed like from a previous thing that they had done together. So I find it really funny because the characters that they're playing are already so developed and they already have this dynamic with each other that they don't really have to question what choices their characters would do, like they already know. I watch like a lot of different actors' streams and I enjoy all of them. But, you know, you do see that moment of them thinking, oh, like, what would my character do? What's in character? Like, I'm developing this person as I go along. But Jay and Amelia already know. They have, like, voices that they do and little funny inside jokes. And I'm laughing so much watching her streams. I'm always smiling and just having the best time. So when I went up there, of course, started talking about how much I enjoyed her playthrough. And she was like, oh, thank you so much. We really didn't think that people would like these characters as much as they do. And I was like, no, they're absolutely hilarious. They're horrible, and that's why it's great. They have some redeeming qualities. She was like, oh, well, what quote, what line do you want me to write with it? I was like, actually, I kind of was thinking I want you to do a Violet line, just because, you know, like that's something that is personal to me about Amelia. Like, yes, she's signing a Baldur's Gate 3 vinyl, but if it's my autograph from Amelia, I'm going to request Violet because, like, that's just what I want, okay? And I like the quote that she picked because I feel like it's just obscure enough where people are like, what? But just in context enough for people to be like, oh, okay, I think I know what she's talking about. Another reason why I love watching her streams is when she talks about her creative process and her tactics as an actor. I think it's just really fascinating and entertaining. So after Amelia, get back in my lane for Neil. So I finally get up there, and they had already told us ahead of time, like, hey, you know, this is the last day of the con. We've really got to get Neil out of here. He's already been running late and all this kind of stuff, and things have gotten pushed back and everything, which is typical for Neil. He really does take his time with people, and he will be there until the last person in line leaves. I could do a whole video about this topic, but like, I love Astarion, right? But I respect Neil. Like, there's a difference. I just think that Neil as a person is so refreshing, and just, like I said, I could do a whole video about how much I respect Neil Nuban, but we won't do it. And also I can feel myself starting to get emotional, and that's not what this video is. But because everything was running late and he was kind of pressed for time, they had already told us ahead of time, hey, we're not doing any booth selfies, and then they didn't have time to do quotes, so it was just going to be straight signatures. I could tell that Neil was still taking his time with people, and I was like, you know what, that's fine. I'm gonna meet Neil multiple times. I'm going to a convention in New York, and Neil's gonna be there, and I already know that I'm gonna be meeting him again because I'm doing like a group photo op, so he's gonna be in it. Like I'm not worried at all about not getting to meet Neil again. But like I mentioned with Amelia, I like to have talking points. So I'm here thinking about like, oh, what am I gonna talk to Neil about? And I get up there and I'm like waiting, and I'm the next person to meet Neil. I almost want to say, and that's when I hear it, but at the same time, it's the lack of hearing that kind of clued me in. But I noticed that Neil had lost his voice. I mean, like, he had been going so hard at that convention and just exhausting himself to the point that he had no voice. Like previously when I was in line, I noticed he had this little thing of honey that he would like put in his water or like drink from or whatever, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess whatever works, king. Like, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about it. But then when I realized that he had lost his voice, I'm like, oh my god, he's like, it's out. Like, it's gone. And so it's like, okay, I need to change tactics here, because I don't want to be asking him questions he feels obligated to answer. I don't want to be, you know, talking about anything he feels like he might need to tell a story to. It's like, you know what? And I think it's important. I'm sure plenty of other people do it, but with someone like Neil, I don't think that they can hear it enough. Like, he really needs to be thanked for his time, because this is insane. Like, what the, like, I really honestly cannot imagine being Neil Nuban. I don't know how that man is standing. And this is also too, see, I told you, I can't talk about Neil without getting emotional. God, I need to stop. So anyway, I get up there and just kind of thank him for how kind he's been to the fandom and how much time he gives and energy. Fuck. Okay, I need to stop because like I said, I can feel myself getting emotional. The last thing that I threw in there at the end for just a little bit of fun, because I've been talking about this in line with some of the people with me, is that Neil has these like very signature convention outfits, and I love them. Whenever he like shows up for the day of the con and you're gonna get a picture with him, it's like a little mystery pack where it's like, like what Neil outfit am I gonna get? And then also too, on top of that, the fact that I have met him multiple times and will continue to be meeting him multiple times, it also makes me feel like Pokemon cards, like I have to collect them all. I'm like, I have to get every single Neil outfit. It's so stupid. But anyway, we had been like joking about that, about like Neil's little outfits. And so I had kind of told him a briefer version of that, being like, I love your outfits, love your looks. Like everybody talks about how cool your outfits are. And I'm like, I feel like they're like little mystery packs where, you know, you see like, ooh, what outfit is Neil wearing today? And he like kind of hoarsely laughed as best he could. I do separate the character from the actor in my mind, and I have such respect for Neil. And I don't think I say that about very many people. Oh, I like this person, I like this person's art, I like this person's music, they're a very talented actor. Like, I know that I've said those things about people before, but it's a little different. Next time that I do have the opportunity to get his autograph though, I am gonna ask him to add a quote. I already know what quote I'm asking for, and I'm not telling you because it's a surprise. After I got out of Neil's line, I want to say it was about like 3:30, 3:45. But yeah, so went to the airport, bought a very overpriced $12 sandwich and a $6 coffee, and then got back home. So that is the FanExpo story. Then we move forward a week later. So this actually is an appropriate point to take a little mini break from story time and talk about my Gale cosplay, because between FanExpo Chicago and it was called 2D Con, where I met Tim Downey at. That entire week, I was con crunching, as we call it in the cosplay community, because that was actually another thing too that I had to talk to Sam and Ash about. I was like, okay, I don't really want to wear my cosplay on the plane. I can only take what would fit in like the extras of my tote bag. They were like, oh, well, you know, if you bring your cosplay on the plane, however you get it there, you can change in our room, because we have a room. And I was like, oh, perfect, great. But anyway, so I mean, there's not like a whole lot to say about the making of Gale anyway, which is kind of why I didn't feel bad about including this story time with it, because the biggest thing for me about Gale, and this was before I was even gonna meet Tim Downey, I was just gonna make a Gale cosplay. I have such an extensive fabric stash, and I am trying to save some money this year because I'm gonna be moving next year. I kind of made a little personal goal with Gale to make him only out of fabrics that I already had in my fabric stash. The only things that I bought new for the cosplay were the bracers, technically the tattoo, you know, his little orb. I did obviously have to buy that. The earrings, because that wasn't something that I had already had before. Other than that, the boots I already had, the belt I already had, the wig, the trim and accents that I used, all stuff I already had, okay? So I did not spend very much money at all on Gale. And definitely not as much as I could have if I was building that thing from scratch and gave myself just freedom, like I am doing with my next Baldur's Gate cosplay. That is a surprise, is a secret, because that also does have to do with Storytime Part 2. We're not there yet. And then I ended up making the robe out of like multiple different purple fabrics, because I did want, my envisionment was I wanted the outfit to have a lot of texture. Like I'm thinking, oh, this is Gale later in the game. This is not him when you first meet him. I've been cosplaying for almost a decade now. I hate to say that because that makes me feel old, but I have to remember I started cosplaying in high school. What gives me serotonin out of cosplay, what I enjoy doing, is I enjoy doing gender bends. I enjoy getting more creative with my designs. I don't want to do an exact replica. I do really love the main fabric that I used for the robe. It is incredibly sparkly in person. Photos, it's a little harder to capture. Videos, I can get a good showcase of it, but in person, she's sparkly, okay? She's really sparkly. But I think my favorite is what I ended up using for the sleeves, because he sort of has this like natural cutout anyway in the design of his robe. Thank you, Xbox. My Xbox is talking to me. You should play Baldur's Gate. Not right now. I'm filming a video. Later, child. That's what it's saying to me. But what was I talking about? Going with that, I used this beautiful, also sparkly, but sort of a lighter purple. It's very celestial, spacey, moon, stars, sun, just a very whimsical fabric, and I loved it and I thought it was so cute. And as soon as I like was going through my stash, I was like, oh, this is Gale, and I had already like set that aside weeks before, because, you know, I was trying to figure out exactly how I was going to be doing it. And I was actually in my room the night before I was supposed to leave, and remember I would have to get up at like 3 in the morning to be able to make it to the airport to get in. I was basically doing the same timestamps as last time with like, I think 30-minute shifts. So instead of getting in at 9:30, I would get in at 9 or whatever. But I had like texted my friend and I was like, I'm gonna have this cosplay done by like 9 p.m. That's gonna be my goal, so that way that I can go to bed. And they're like, psh, no you won't, good luck with that. Bitch, I did it. May have been 9:30, but you, I did it, okay? And I'm gonna tell you this too right now. If someone ever tells me you can't do something that's impossible, I will prove you wrong. Like that. I don't know, do a deep dive into my zodiac chart if you want to, but that is a fact about me. If you tell me I can't do something, oh well, now I'm gonna do it. Like I was on the fence about it before, but you said I can't do it. Now I'm gonna do it. You may have actually said that because you knew that it would have motivated me, but whatever. But I was gonna finish it anyway because it's for Tim. Okay, I was gonna finish it for Tim. Jumping back into story time, I had already told Sam and Ash like what time I was going to be there, and I was like texting them updates as the Uber was like taking me to my destination, which took for freaking ever because actually half of the road was closed. Got into cosplay super quickly and then went in line for Tim. This convention has a little less story time to it because it was so chill. Okay, so 2D Con was the name of it, and it had maybe, I think it was five or six guests there in total. Okay, Artist Alley was pretty much just a single room. This was in a hotel. Imagine like a standard like conference room. That was how big Artist Alley was, which was better than FanExpo Chicago, which was like 5 times the size of this con. But maybe even 10 times the size of that con, probably. It was I mean, fan expos are always massive. Sam and Ash had been there the 2 days before. They had been there the whole weekend for the con, and I was just going in for the Sunday to meet Tim. They're like, oh, we're gonna find Lizzie. We need to look for Lizzie. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. One more person to add to the group. Love meeting new people. They're like, oh, hey, this is Lizzie. You might have seen her on our story. She was like cosplaying Astarion over the week. And I was like, oh yeah, no, I did see you like on, on Instagram or whatever, and chatted, started talking in line. I'll go back to Tim in a second, but a good majority of the day passes. And here I am thinking, oh, Lizzie's a friend of theirs that they've known for a while. They were meeting up with Lizzie at this con. No, they had met Lizzie the day before because they sat next to her at the Baldur's Gate panel. This has to be a pattern with Ash and Sam because I swear they just adopt people. And it's like, we like your vibe. You're our friend now. And I do the same thing. And I'll tell you too, the quickest way to deepen a friendship or to make friends fast is invite them to play Dungeons and Dragons. You will bond instantly. Like, I swear. Anyway, yeah, I just thought that was absolutely hilarious because it was like, oh, I'm thinking like Lizzie's their like longtime friend. Nope. They had just met her that weekend. Hey, you know what? Same thing, because even having met Lizzie just the one time, I then invite her to go to Halloween Horror Nights with me. So I'm just as bad. I love meeting people at conventions. Like, that's just my favorite thing. I always collect people every time I go. I'm also talking about that, and we'll go back to Tim because that's what you guys are here for, right? I will say one of the really cool things about the setup for the con, since it was a smaller convention, because I had already been thinking, I was like, oh, they don't have a way that you like buy photo ops online, but they did have like a combo, a photo and autograph combo. And I was like, oh, okay, but normally when they do that, it's like a booth selfie, or maybe like an assistant takes the picture at the booth. Like, I've done that before. So that's what I was envisioning. But they did actually have professional photo ops there. But how it was set up, and I will see if possibly maybe Sam or Ash has a picture because I don't have one because I'm horrible at vlogging and I'm trying to get better, guys, I promise. You've seen little clips here and there. I hope you understand I'm trying to get better at vlogging, okay? It's like autograph booths on this side, autograph booths on this side, and then in the center they had like this backdrop set up, and that was a shared backdrop for everybody. But what kind of made that like extra interesting was I meet Tim, I get an autograph from him. We're already chatting, having a conversation. Then it's like, oh, she also paid for photo op. Oh, okay. So then we walk over to the photo op section, and then we have to wait for it to be our turn to take a photo. So I'm like, well, I'll just talk to you for another 5 minutes. I have never spent as much time with an actor as I did Tim. And I don't know that I will ever be in a situation like that again, unless I maybe go back like next year to that convention or a similar one. But like, I've just never been in that position where I just like was hanging out. Tim and I were just hanging out. Now, if you want to ask me what we talked about, let me tell you, I did black out for the first half. I thought previously, I guess, that I was going to be the most nervous to meet Neil, but honestly, Neil's one of the chillest people ever to meet. I think the time I was most nervous was during the photo op, not necessarily meeting him, but they go so fast and it just kind of like gives me a generalized anxiety. You don't have a lot of time to chit chat, and so I'm always worried that they're gonna yell at me when I'm talking to someone. So that was actually probably the most nerve-wracking thing when it came to any sort of interaction I've had with Neil. But like, I walked up to Tim and I blacked out. I can't explain it. I know I didn't do anything embarrassing, and I know I didn't say anything too weird, thankfully, but like, maybe blacked out isn't the right word. I was having an out-of-body experience. Either way, that makes me sound horrible, but like, I couldn't help it. Like, I'd had my talking points, we always have talking points. That makes me sound like I have multiple personalities too on top of all of this. I always have talking points. Walk up to him, whoop, my brain is wiped clean. I can't remember a damn thing I was supposed to say. My soul levitates from my body, and I know I'm speaking normally and respectfully, but it's like, I don't remember that part. I do know that I had mentioned that I hope that he will come to more conventions in the future. I hadn't seen him make a lot of appearances in the US. Yeah, you know, I'm busy with like some of my other shows, and like Outlander's always taken up so much of my time, and I was like, yeah, I've seen you in Outlander, I've seen you in all this other stuff, which I didn't tell him this part, but I'll tell you. Since becoming a fan of Baldur's Gate, there are 100%, there are movies that I have watched that I probably wouldn't have watched except for Tim was in them. And there's still a few more like on my watch list where it's like the only reason that this is even on my radar right now is because Tim's in it. But anyway, I had actually, while I was in line, I had been thinking and thinking and thinking about what am I gonna have Tim like sign, like what's the quote gonna be, and I decided to go with, because since I am a seamstress and I am crafty, I decided to go with uncannily adroit with a knitting needle, because that just felt very personal, and also that is absolutely one of my favorite lines. And I always do the little, there's like so many Gale lines where every time that they occur, I have to do whatever the heck Tim is doing, you know, like the little knitting needle motion or the little, you know, you know what I'm talking about. He just has so many little fun mannerisms that there are just certain Gale lines that I can't help but like recreate them while they're playing. I understand I'm weird, guys. If you haven't understood that yet at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Then you're not observant. I don't know what else to tell you. Oh, and then the other thing I was gonna tell you, I'm sure I've already put up my photo of me with Tim, but I also really want to show you guys Sam and Ash's photos, because I have gotten their permission and I just think they're so darn cute. But there is a particular photo of Sam with Tim that I love, and Ash with Karlach Sam that I also love. I think that they're both just amazing, and like their photos came out so good from that weekend. I am going to another convention, like I said, in a couple weeks, or a week from now by the time this video comes out. I will be meeting more of the Baldur's Gate cast, and like I said, guys, I'm trying to get better at vlogging, so instead of just a story time, hopefully you'll get a vlog. I will be meeting the actors for Lae'zel, Shadowheart, and Orin, and then possibly getting back in line for Neil, since I'll be there 2 days. We'll see how it goes. Sam's also going to be there, and Jen's partner as well. So I will be doing a group photo with everyone. That's what's booked. But as far as autographs go, those are those three are kind of my priorities, and then we'll see if we have time for some others. I will say too, if you're curious about what I purchased from the convention, what I will be doing is sort of a small business haul thing. That will include, and I will point out, the stuff that I got at 2DCon, so you can watch that if you're interested. Yeah, that's kind of everything. That's the end of the story. This went a lot better than the first time that I originally sat down to try to film this. Maybe because, you know, I just kind of spewed information the first time, and this time I was able to get a little bit more organized. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I am actually going to go leave for a tattoo appointment now. I'm really excited about it because I am also addicted to tattoos. Oh, hey, you know what? The last thing I'll say, if you have any ideas for a Baldur's Gate tattoo, please let me know down in the comments, because I have been wanting to get one for a good while now. But here's my thing, I don't want one that pertains to just one character, okay? Because I've been getting a lot of suggestions about things that are relevant to one specific character or maybe a couple characters, but I kind of want something that encompasses the whole game. Because like I said, I don't want to single anybody out. I have a lot of favorite characters, and it would be very difficult for me to like pick and choose who am I going to include in this tattoo. Something that maybe just represents the game as a whole. I have thought about getting the nether stones, but I don't know if that's going to be obvious enough. With this one particularly, I want somebody to see that tattoo and be like, oh my god, you play Baldur's Gate? I am all ears, because I am out of ideas. But that'll be the last thing that I say in this video, because I have been talking for a very long time. I had a lot of fun making this video because I just had so much fun with the experiences. This year has just been so kind to me, I feel like. And I've had a lot of really great experiences. Towards the end of the year, you'll probably get to hear about a few more of them. Look out for more Baldur's Gate content, look out for more cosplays, look out for more vlogs. If you like any of the other things that you see behind me, chances are I probably have a video about it somewhere on this channel, so feel free to check those out. If you want to see more of my cosplays, you can follow me on social media. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.